Well, Tesla inching closer to having an industry-wide universal plug after Mercedes announces it will be the first German car maker to implement Tesla's charging plug.
I love this report, Amy, because it's the most up-to-date snapshot of the electric vehicles the people in the United States are buying right now. In the first half of this year, they're still buying Teslas. Oh, yeah, by an overwhelming number of vehicles that are out there. 60% of the EVs that were sold in the first half of this year, according to Motor Intelligence, were Teslas.
In this video, another automotive manufacturer jumps on board the Tesla charging standard. Better late than never, Mercedes. New data shows that second place really does need a telescope to see Tesla, with Tesla electric vehicles outselling the next best by a ratio of about 10-1 in the United States. How embarrassing. And we have what I personally believe may in fact be the single largest, most important and significant example of stock investors, broadly speaking, missing the forest for the trees. I highly encourage you to be the exception rather than the rule.
Well, Tesla inching closer to having an industry-wide universal plug after Mercedes announces it will be the first German car maker to implement Tesla's charging plug. Here with the details, we've got Yahoo Finance's Pras Subramanian. Pras, it was only a few weeks ago when we were saying that Tesla is setting the North American standard. Now you've got at least one German car maker on board. This is a global conversation.
Yeah, add another partner or scalp to Tesla's list of new companies joining their supercharger network. Now with Mercedes in 2024, Mercedes will have access to 12,000 supercharger stalls in the U.S. and North America. And in 2025, Mercedes will add the Tesla NACS port to its own cars, meaning they'll have native access to the supercharger network. So this is sort of similar to the deals that they're making with GM and Ford and even Volvo. The one little wrinkle here is that Mercedes, they had already previously announced a bespoke charging network, the Mercedes network. They're now going to add the Tesla NACS plug to that network. So that's kind of a big deal too. They were really going all in on that standard. So another big kind of partner here for Tesla. Like I said, Germany's first original equipment manufacturer to do this. And we might hear from Hyundai and also Volkswagen. They're also rumored to be speaking to Tesla too.
Another truly shocking announcement. Yet another automotive manufacturer adopting Tesla's charging standard. Who could have seen this coming? Definitely not me, which is why this wasn't in my Tesla valuation model. Third-party access to Tesla's supercharging network for eons before these first announced. Oh wait, no, it's been in there for ages. I take that back. Yeah, it's kind of obvious. Guess what? Everyone, as in all automotive manufacturers, with even half a brain cell between them, will be jumping on board. The longer it takes, the less likely these dumb motherfuckers are to survive. When the first partnership was publicly announced, when Jim Farley, CEO of Ford, did a Twitter Spaces with Elon announcing this partnership, these companies should have been banging on Tesla's door. We want the exact same deal. We're ready to announce it now. Let's go. Instead, it's a slow trickle. The longer it takes these companies to do what is obvious and inevitable, so obvious and inevitable that it's been in my valuation model for yonks, is that an Australian term? It means a long while. The less competently run these companies are. This is such a no-brainer. It is inevitable. Every automotive manufacturer on the planet will adopt this charging standard or go out of business. Actually, those things could both be true. We're getting an insight into how slow-moving these dullards really are. Now, I think it was November last year, Tesla publicly announced they were opening up their charging standard. Who knows how long these discussions have been going on behind the scenes? But the fact that there has been a delay between the Ford announcement, then Government Motors, you did it, Mary, you copied, and it matters, one after another, just goes to show how slow-moving some of these companies are. Why the delay? Why, when Tesla announced last year they were opening up their charging standard, didn't every automotive manufacturer on the earth kick down their door at the exact same time? It's worth pondering. This kind of stuff matters a lot more than you may think. This is the no-brainer of no-brainers. It's curious that we haven't heard from Volkswagen. Oh wait, no it's not, because Herbert Diess Nuts was shit-canned for saying what needed to be said and doing what needed to be done. If Diess was still in charge of VW, guess who would have been the first company on earth to announce the partnership? Yeah, VW. It's also curious, given the fact that VW and Toyota are the world's largest automotive manufacturers by unit volume, give or take per year, maybe 10 million vehicles sold annually each. That we haven't heard from Toyota either. I'm just kidding, because Toyota doesn't have any electric vehicles that don't suck harder than a fucking vacuum. So why would they need the charging standard? They're not even making electric vehicles that don't suck. But again, the two largest automotive manufacturers on the fucking planet have still yet to announce a partnership, yet to announce that they're adopting Tesla's charging standard in their future electric vehicles ASAP. What's going on here? Oh, that's right. They're doomed. That's the problem. They are screwed. They should have been the first companies. You'd think with so much at stake, they'd realize, oh geez, if we can access Tesla's charging network, adopt their charging standard, we can sell a load more of our average ass electric vehicles, because consumers will be like, oh, I can charge on the Tesla network. The network's everywhere. This is great. As opposed to being forced to charge on Electrify My Asshole or another alternative network that barely works. Like I said, this matters a lot more than you guys think. The pace of these announcements, the partnerships, the adoption of Tesla's charging standard tells you everything you need to know about how competently led these companies are and how quickly they're moving. They're already years behind. Some of them, the better part of a decade behind. What's the delay? Something to ponder.
Meantime, Praz, Tesla has been very aggressive in getting additional customers on board. They're out with even more incentives. What's the very latest there?
Yeah, so Tesla restarted their referral partner program about a month or two ago. They had it for many years before. Basically, what happens is if you use a referral link from a prior owner, you will get some incentives here. In this case, new buyers will get $500 in off their purchase price and 3 months of FSD self-driving capabilities there. And also the person who is the referrer will get 10,000 referral credits, which can be used for supercharging points, Tesla merch, things like that. So now referral links are everywhere. You don't need to actually know a prior owner to get a link. You can get one online anywhere, so not a big deal. So, but the big deal here, I mean, the kind of the bottom line here is that this isn't a big sort of mover like a massive price cut is for a Tesla vehicle, but it just kind of goes to show you that incentives matter. People like these things, and Tesla really wants to sort of keep growing those delivery numbers into Q3.
I'm not going to lie. I actually think that Tesla giving access to FSD to people for referring customers to Tesla is actually going to be an insane money printer. Think about the number of people who try the software who would never have spent the money in the first place. I'm not spending that, I can drive myself, bro. They try it. They go, oh, damn, dude, this is actually, I think I'm going to buy this. It costs Tesla literally nothing to give people free access for a while. It's just software. Press a button, bang, now the software is enabled on their vehicle. So there's no marginal cost to Tesla. So this doesn't cost them. Think about all the customers who'll access this for a little while and it'll be too good to live without and they'll end up subscribing or buying it outright. Smart.
Phil LeBeau is here. He has the details. Phil, I see more and more RIVNs out there in the wild, but they do have a long way to go, don't they?
They do, but they have improved their production, and we'll show you just how much they've improved it in just a little bit. I love this report, Amy, because it's the most up-to-date snapshot of the electric vehicles the people in the United States are buying right now. In the first half of this year, they're still buying Teslas. Oh, yeah, by an overwhelming number of vehicles that are out there. 60% of the EVs that were sold in the first half of this year, according to Motor Intelligence, were Teslas.
So I'd just like to take a moment. On screen now, numbers, facts, don't care about your feelings. And the facts are, in the United States, Tesla is outselling the next best selling electric vehicle brand, Hyundai Kia, by approximately one order of magnitude. Tesla with over 60% of new electric vehicles sold in the US. Hyundai Kia, 6.9%. Nice. Government Motors, who led and matter, apparently, 6.5%. Volkswagen, 5.3%. Ford, 4.6%. Of course, over time, this will change. There was a point where Tesla had almost 100% of the new vehicle market in the US. More proof that GM led and mattered. But here's the thing. While companies like Government Motors flounder and fail to ramp up EV production, Tesla is currently ramping up a gigantic factory in Austin, Texas, producing not only Model Y, but this quarter and throughout the rest of this year and beyond, also Cybertruck. Oh, and then there's the Giga Mexico factory recently announced. If you want an insight into the next few years of electric vehicle market share within the United States, you need only consider who is building factories and where are they located. Where will the vehicles produced in those factories be sold? If the answer is the United States, at least most of those vehicles, you should think, okay, how much production capacity of vehicles that will be sold in the US in the next few years belongs to Tesla versus Hyundai Kia versus Government Motors versus Ford versus Volkswagen? Tesla continues to ramp up their production as fast as they possibly can. Their limiting factor is still battery supply. It's inevitable over time. Companies like Government Motors will eke out a little bit more market share in the US of all new vehicles sold. However, at the same time, they're scaling up their EV production. Tesla's going to be scaling up even faster. It's absolutely ridiculous to think Tesla's going to maintain more than 60% of all new electric vehicles sold in the US in the coming years. However, this number is still going to be stupidly large for years to come. The question is really, globally, where does this number settle? Does Tesla end up capturing 25%, 10%, 35% of all new electric vehicles sold, which, by the way, are the only kind of new vehicles that will be sold within a few years' time? More proof that the competition is in fact coming all over itself, not for Tesla.
By the way, most of them are Model Y or Model 3. In fact, over half of the EV sales in the first half of this year were Model 3 or Model Y, about 56%. In the first half, Tesla increased its sales by 29.7%. So you're looking at a company right now that continues to grow. Its gap between them and the next closest is more than 300,000 vehicles. So as you take a look at shares of Tesla, yes, this has helped the company's stock move higher over the last several weeks, the fact that they've had some strong demand, but it's really about gross auto margins. And we'll find out what they were for the second quarter on July 19th when the company reports after the bell.
Can I tell you guys a secret? I mean, I guess it's not going to be a secret if I tell you, but I'm going to tell you. Ready? I hope, and remember, hope's not a strategy, but it's all I got. I can't actually control what's going to happen. I hope the Tesla's gross automotive margins are lower than expectations, and I hope that short-sighted, short-term, and short on grey matter investors panic, dump Tesla's stock, and I can buy it at an even greater discount. It amazes me, the short-sighted nature of many investors. Everyone seems to be focused on Tesla's gross automotive margins this quarter, next quarter, and they're completely ignoring Tesla being on the cusp of solving autonomy, having an unassailable data lead. I mean, bro, everyone just completely ignores the whole 100 exaflops of compute next year. Tesla literally like, hey guys, this is how much compute we're going to... What's that for? I thought they were just a car company. In a few years, or whenever the it happens, when Tesla has robotaxis operating, scaling up rapidly, globally, printing insane amounts of money, we're going to look back on mid-2023 when all eyes are on Tesla's gross automotive margins, and that was driving the stock, that was driving interest, that was driving sentiment around the company, and go, the fuck were people thinking about? How did you miss this? It was obvious. This may in fact go down as the biggest ever example of missing the forest for the trees. It seems like most investors, and that includes retail investors, institutional investors, and people who are actually short-term gamblers who think they're investors, are literally waiting for Tesla to bitch slap them in the face with a few $1 billion of money printed via robotaxis before they realize the opportunity, as opposed to realizing the opportunity before the pile of money. Speaking of which, there was a time in Tesla's recent history where this exact same scenario played out. Most investors completely missed what was around the corner. Why? Because they didn't engage their brains. And I do genuinely mean that. It was very obvious. In late 2019, Tesla was on the cusp of printing insane amounts of money as production scaled up and they began to benefit from economies of scale, increased volumes on their vehicles. Yet most investors needed to be bitch slapped in the fucking face first before they realized. As a result, there were many investors out there piling into Tesla stock after the proof, oh, they really are going to print insane amounts of money, as opposed to loading up on Tesla stock at much lower prices before the money printing began. We're seeing round two. Let me show you visually what round one looked like. Shout out to James Stevenson for this excellent animation of Tesla cumulative net income since IPO. This red line is in essence an excellent proxy for how much money Tesla began printing. Moments after peak fear, uncertainty, and doubt. If you guys don't recall, the FUD tsunami hit record levels in 2019. The trough here, the worst of the worst, approximately Q4 2019. Those who had done the thinking, actually engaged their brains, realized that Tesla was about to start printing ludicrous amounts of money. Those who prefer to outsource their thinking were just listening to the morons on CNBC and in the finance media saying that Tesla was going bankrupt. Look how much money they've lost. The company's going bankrupt. These folks missed out on quite the opportunity. Let's contrast what Tesla's stock did. Keeping in mind, Q4 2019 was approximately the trough, the worst of the worst for the people who weren't able to think and look into the future at all. And as of Q4 2019, Tesla stock split adjusted was around $15 per share. Isn't that interesting? As soon as the company starts printing crazy money, as expected, at least if you'd used your brain, the stonk goes to the moon. And again, I do want to emphasize, this was obvious. All one need do was have used their fucking brain. You guys remember some guy with 3 first names starting a YouTube channel, posting the first video on the 20th of November 2019, trying to, without directly saying it, because I'm not dumb enough to provide investment advice, hey guys, Tesla, they're about to start printing crazy money. I just wanted to warn you ahead of time before they print insane money, because it's obviously going to, and the stock market doesn't seem to have figured this out. Since starting the YouTube channel, Tesla stock well over a 10x in value. That was a very long way of saying, hey guys, the exact same fucking thing is building up ahead of the robotaxi's awakening. People are not understanding. Just like I start this channel back in the 4th quarter of 2019 to warn people what was around the corner, I'm banging the table again. If you thought Tesla's surge from Q4 2019 through to the present moment was insane, you ain't seen nothing yet. Now I'm just kidding. Ignore everything I said. As an intelligent Tesla stock investor, the only thing you should be focused on is short-term gross automotive margins, because that's what's going to move the needle, not the decatrillion-dollar opportunity known as autonomy, in which Tesla has an unassailable lead.
You mentioned RIVN. What a day for RIVN. Really, what a month for RIVN. This stock has exploded. You talk about Wedbush and the fact that they have raised the price target from 25 to 30 on stronger production. The R1T is now the best-selling electric pickup truck in the United States. Easily outselling Ford's F-150 Lightning. And speaking of Ford, as well as General Motors, they both had price target increases today from Morgan Stanley. But both of those companies, Eamon, when you look at where they are in their EV production, yeah, there was some downtime at Ford. They had some issues with a battery fire investigation with the F-150 Lightning earlier this year. And GM has increased production, but both of them have been very slow in the ramp-up of EV production. And that is one reason why people look at EVs right now and they say, I see Teslas everywhere. I'm starting to see more Rivians. Where are the GM and the Ford models? We're just not seeing a ton of them right now. You actually see a lot of Hyundais out there. They're number 2 in terms of market share.
Yeah, a lot of those guys way behind. And Tesla not afraid to scoop up market share by cutting prices. I wonder if you're going to see more Tesla price cuts in the future. It's sort of a controversial strategy earlier this year. Seems to have paid off, right, in terms of that market share that you're just pointing to. But is there a point where you start to cut into profits too much if you cut those prices?
We'll find out on July 19th. Look, the gross auto margins are expected to come down. They were 19.5% in the first quarter. Most are saying they're going to come down 1% or 2% in the second quarter. At least that's the conjecture that's out there among analysts. And that's because of the price cuts. But the biggest impact with those price cuts, Eamon, it's China. It's brutally competitive in China right now in terms of pricing. That's the biggest impact for Tesla.
And they just
Not
put
as much here in the United States, but though we are seeing some.
So I've been keeping tally of the number of times gross automotive margin and Tesla margins and Tesla price cuts and pricing have been mentioned versus the number of times FSD and or robotaxi and or autonomy have been mentioned. One of the columns is rather full and the autonomy column has 0 in it, which makes lots of sense because, like I said, autonomy is not a big deal and it won't move the needle. You should really be focused on short-term margins and price action instead. You definitely won't regret that. Just like nobody regrets missing what was happening with Tesla in 2019. You know, the whole scaling up and then printing insane amounts of money. Yeah, ignore everything except gross automotive margins. All right, I've got to take a break from the trolling. I know there's a lot of nerds watching. In fact, I think there's only nerds watching. Many of you guys, and a couple of the women watching, play video games. Many of you play too many video games. But I'd like to explain something through the lens of the video game industry. Did you know that the rule of thumb in the video game industry is to sell your console, the hardware, e.g. an Xbox or a PlayStation, at a loss? You do not make money selling the hardware. Now, if this was an automotive manufacturer, the analogy would be selling the vehicles for a 0% or a negative gross automotive margin. This doesn't seem like a very sensible business strategy until you realize these companies make all their profits on software sales. They can sell the hardware for no profit or lose money selling the hardware and recoup insane amounts of money selling software. Now, why am I mentioning this example? I think you've already figured it out, right? The profits from software sales in the video game industry and, spoiler alert, soon to be the automotive industry once Tesla has solved autonomy, dwarf anything you could possibly make selling hardware. Therefore, it makes a lot more sense to grow your install base of active users who have the hardware who can then purchase software, e.g. FSD, autonomy, for extremely high software-like margins. All eyes are currently focused on Tesla's gross automotive margin. The pricing, oh, they cut prices, oh my god. And ignoring the insane amount of money that Tesla will be printing with future software sales for their existing fleet now of around 4.5 million vehicles growing rapidly. The fact that Tesla is still able to sell their vehicles with extremely high industry-leading profit margins, 2-3 times the margin of most other automotive companies, is stunning in and of itself. As Tesla mentioned on a recent earnings call, they'd be happy to sell their vehicles at no margin, not make a cent selling the hardware because they'll recoup this with future software sales. But again, the finance media, many investors out there just can't fathom. They don't get it. The gross automotive margin's going down, reducing price target, no demand. In short, don't say I didn't warn you. Athletic Greens AG1 has given me a massive, meaningful boost in energy, allowing me to do a lot more every day, including using my brain more and using my body more. I highly recommend you guys and girls check it out. Athletic Greens AG1 is an excellent way to fill in nutritional gaps. It's got 75 high-quality vitamins, minerals, and whole food source nutrients, plus prebiotics and probiotics and digestive enzymes and adaptogens to help you deal with stress. Plus, if you click the link in the pinned comment or head to drinkag1.com/SMR, you can get yourself a 1-year free supply of vitamin D3 and K2. But don't take my word for it. Here's what some of you guys and girls have to say. AG1 has changed my life. I was, as you described, treating myself like a circus, ate like trash, rarely exercised, used alcohol as a stress crutch, cannabis also. AG1 is what gave me the kick in the ass, got me back to the gym, motivated me to do more for myself, family, my business, etc. Keep doing what you do. Now, I know there's some skeptics, the same kind of people who think Elon Musk is a fraud, reading this going, what do you thought? There's no way that's possible, bro. It must be a placebo effect. Believe it or not, this is a recurring theme. If you give your body everything it needs to feel and perform its best, including having a lot more energy, you'll need ways to use that energy. For me personally, that includes more exercise, moving my body more social activity, and more cognitively demanding tasks, including producing a fuck ton of exclusive content over on Twitter and on Patreon, plus my daily YouTube uploads. The proof's in the pudding. On to another testimonial from a viewer of this channel. SMR, you asked me to provide feedback on AG1. Here it is. It has helped with mental acuity, stamina, and intestinal waste management. Can't read between the lines. Certainly helps with regularity and digestion. That's what the digestive enzymes are for. It has also dramatically reduced my cravings for sugar. You guys need to stop eating sugar. It's fucking poison. I'm 50, 5'9", and overweight, aka a fat motherfucker. I think that's a technical term for overweight, isn't it? Is it fat motherfucker or obese? I can't remember. I average 100 hours a week in the West Texas oil fields as a safety supervisor. Jesus Christ, dude. No wonder you're struggling to keep your weight under control. 100 hours a week. Brutal. It has helped me lose weight. It is not an appetite suppressant. It can help fat people suppress cravings, and motivation to be healthier is critical for changing your diet. Love you, brother. Again, this is a great point. It's something people really don't seem to grasp. If you have more energy, everything becomes easier. It's like turning on easy mode for life. A few years ago, before I was taking AG1, my health was trash. I was struggling to get through the day, had afternoon fatigue. The last thing I wanted to do was either use my brain or move my body. Didn't have the energy. Now, my biggest struggle every day is figuring out ways to use that energy. I'm exercising way more, doing a lot more with my friends and family, and of course, my work output has increased substantially. And you can fact check me. Check out the average length of my videos I was posting to YouTube 3 years ago. Need I say more? And one final testimonial. Love this one. Okay, here's the deal for me with this AG1 shit. I'm 41 years old and not the type to eat, drink, smoke, or sleep healthy, so I was skeptical. That being said, here's what I experienced. Day 1, meh. Day 2, afternoon fatigue was about 45 minutes late. Day 3, 0 afternoon fatigue. Day 4, 0 afternoon fatigue plus extra energy. Day 5, again, 0 afternoon fatigue plus energy, wondering, what the fuck, really? See, this is the thing, right? The results for many people are just almost too good to be true. This is the same experience I had. My afternoon fatigue just vanished out of nowhere. I'm like, wait, what the fuck? Why am I not tired in the afternoons anymore? Surely, it's not that AG1, is it? Turns out it was. Day 6 and 7, same thing. Day 8, same thing. Plus, I had the want to get things done around the house that I normally would slack off and not get done. Again, the point, extra energy, you'll need to use it, you'll find ways to use it. Day 9, 10, and 11, and today is day 12. I fucking love it. So however you managed to get me to buy it, I'm so glad you did. Thank you so much, SMR. It really changed me so far. Guys, this shit really works. Just try it. By the way, this is the reason I continue to relentlessly promote AG1. A lot of people get real fucking mad in the comments. Oh my God, snake oil salmon sold out. Oh my God, he's a scammer. This is fraud. But constantly, I'm pretty sure everyone making these comments is also currently short Tesla stock. I'm not particularly concerned about people having a negative perception, those folks suffering from small brain syndrome, still living in my bum's basement syndrome, etc., writing mean comments, claiming AG1's a scam or it doesn't work. I mean, bro, when I get feedback like this is what keeps me going. And remember, there is a 90-day money-back guarantee. There's nothing to lose here. Just try this stuff for a month, and if you don't get these results, get your money back. See, it's a literal no-brainer. It's an IQ test at this point in time. Testimonial after testimonial after testimonial like this. Get your money back if it doesn't work. Just try it for a month, and if it doesn't work, get your money back. Today's the day. It's finally time. Be like this guy who was a massive skeptic, but finally, after 1,000 promotions in a row, caved in, tried AG1, and has results like this. Head to drinkag1.com/SMR or click the link in the pinned comment, and please, let me know how you're feeling in a few weeks' time. Now, if you'll excuse me, time to put my extra energy to good use. I'll be recording some more exclusive content for Patreon and my Twitter subscribers. So click the links in the pinned comment. See you over on Twitter and or Patreon, and don't forget to grab your AG1. Love ya.